Whispers in the dark. The recycled air in the ventilation shaft tasted metallic against Raya's tongue as she inched forward, the blue-tinged emergency lights casting eerie shadows across her face. 6 years of Nixari occupation had taught her patience. 6 years of watching Earth cities transform into harvesting grounds had taught her rage. Approaching security junction, she whispered into her subdermal communicator. 3 minutes until the sensor sweep. Copy that, replied Tarek's voice, smooth and controlled despite the stakes. I've looped the cameras in Sector 7. You'll have a 90-second window. Raya paused, checking the digital display embedded in her forearm. Tarek Nazir was new to their resistance cell, a former collaborator claiming a change of heart. Trust wasn't a luxury she could afford, but neither was refusing competent help. The junction opened into a vast server room, humming with the collective knowledge of the Nixari occupation force. Raya slipped down silently, her specialized boots absorbing the impact. The gravity felt slightly stronger than Earth normal, another reminder she was deep in enemy territory. I'm in, she confirmed, approaching the central terminal, beginning data extraction. Her fingers danced across the alien interface, the neural implant behind her ear translating the complex Nixari script into something her human brain could process. The security protocols were sophisticated but predictable. The arrogance of their oppressors had always been their weakness. 60 seconds, Tarek warned through the comm. Raya inserted the quantum drive, feeling sweat beat along her spine as the download commenced. The plans for the planetary defense grid would give the rebellion its first real chance at a coordinated strike. After years of guerrilla tactics and symbolic victories, they could finally hit the Nixari where it hurt. The terminal flashed a warning she didn't recognize. We've got a problem, she hissed. They've updated the security algorithms. Abort, Tarek commanded. Raya, get out now. She ignored him, manually overriding the lockout sequence. Almost there. The alarm was silent but unmistakable, a subtle shift in the ambient lighting from blue to purple. Footsteps echoed from the corridor. Patrol incoming. Tarek's voice had lost its composure. Raya, please. The download completed with seconds to spare. She pocketed the drive and scrambled toward the ventilation shaft, but the heavy footfalls were too close. No extraction point, she whispered, going to Plan B. Without waiting for a response, Raya slid beneath a nearby console just as the doors hissed open. 3 Nixari guards entered, their elongated limbs moving with unsettling grace. Their faceted eyes scanned the room methodically. Human biosignature detected, one announced, its translator rendering the complex clicks into flat, emotionless speech. Raya closed her eyes, activating her thermal dampening suit. Her heart thundered in her chest as the guards moved closer. Then suddenly the station's lights flickered. The guards' communication devices erupted with urgent chatter. Security breach in Docking Bay 3, announced a voice over the station's comm system. All personnel respond immediately. The guards hesitated, then hurried from the room. Raya waited 10 agonizing seconds before emerging. What did you do? She asked into her communicator. Gave you a diversion, Tarek replied, sounding winded. Meet me at emergency airlock E17 and hurry. I can't hold them off forever. When she arrived at the airlock, Tarek was waiting, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. His official collaborator uniform was torn at the shoulder. You're injured, she noted, instinctively reaching toward him. A disagreement with my former colleagues, he said with a grim smile. Let's go before they reconsider my resignation. As their escape pod detached from the station, Raya studied his profile, wondering if she'd made a fatal error in judgment. But as the stolen defense plans pulsed securely against her side, she allowed herself something unfamiliar. Hope. The rebellion was about to begin. The breach, the emerald nebula surrounding Nova Haven, cast a sickly glow across the viewport as Raya and Tarek's shuttle approached the massive space station. Built within the hollowed remains of an ancient asteroid, Nova Haven represented the last truly neutral territory in the sector, a place where species from across the galaxy conducted trade, exchanged information, and occasionally plotted revolution. Docking clearance confirmed, the automated system chirped. Welcome to Nova Haven Level 3 citizens. Tarek adjusted his false identity chip, the former collaborator now fully committed to his role as traitor to the Nixari. Level 3 gets us access to the commercial sectors, but the Solari embassy is restricted. Raya nodded, studying the station schematics on her datapad. We'll need to make contact with their ambassador without drawing attention. The Nixari have informants everywhere. The shuttle docked with a gentle shudder. As they disembarked, the diversity of the station's inhabitants became apparent. Dozens of species moving through the crowded concourse, many Raya had never seen before. After years fighting in Earth's ruined cities, the sensory overload was disorienting. "Stay close," Tarek murmured, his hand briefly touching the small of her back. The casual intimacy surprised her, but she didn't pull away. They navigated through bustling marketplaces where merchants hawked exotic wares from 100 worlds. Information was Nova Haven's true currency, however, and Tarek led them to a dimly lit establishment called the Event Horizon. "My contact works here," he explained, scanning the room cautiously. "She's connected to the Solari Diplomatic Corps." The interior was filled with private booths separated by sound-dampening fields. They slipped into an empty one, and Tarek ordered drinks in a language Raya didn't recognize. "You're full of surprises," she observed, studying him with newfound curiosity. He offered a half-smile. "Necessary survival skill for a double agent. Is that what you truly are?" Raya leaned forward. "Because sometimes I wonder if you're playing both sides against the middle." "I told you why I turned," he said, his voice hardening. "The Nixari have my sister. Everything I do is to get her back." Before she could respond, a slender figure approached their booth, a Solari female with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Her elongated features remained expressionless as she slid into the seat beside them. "You bring dangerous propositions, human," the Solari said, addressing Tarek. "My people have maintained neutrality for a reason." "Neutrality is just delayed surrender," Raya interjected. "We have Nixari defense schematics. With the Solari fleet supporting Earth's rebellion, we could strike their homeworld directly." The alien skin flushed crimson briefly. Such boldness. "The Architect Council will need more than words. We're prepared to offer something substantial." Tarek produced a small data crystal. "The location of 3 Nixari harvesting facilities, each containing Solari captives your intelligence services couldn't locate." The Solari's eyes widened almost imperceptibly. "How did you obtain this?" "I had high clearance," Tarek said simply, "before I defected." A tense silence followed as the Solari considered their offer. Finally, she pocketed the crystal. "I will arrange an audience with Ambassador Vexilia. Until then, I suggest you both remain inconspicuous." After she departed, Raya released a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. That went better than expected. Tarek's expression remained troubled. "Too well, perhaps. We should relocate immediately." His instincts proved correct. As they exited the Event Horizon, Raya spotted 2 Nixari enforcers moving purposefully through the crowd. Scanning faces, "We've been compromised," she whispered. Without hesitation, Tarek pulled her into a narrow maintenance corridor. They pressed together in the darkness, bodies flush against one another as heavy footsteps passed by. Raya could feel Tarek's heartbeat, rapid but steady against her palm. "They're hunting us," he whispered, his breath warm against her ear. "Then we give them something else to chase," she replied. In the dim light, her eyes met his with unexpected intensity. Tarek's hand moved to her face, thumb tracing her jawline with surprising tenderness. The gesture held a question. Raya answered by closing the distance between them, their lips meeting in a kiss born equally of adrenaline, and something deeper neither was ready to name. For a moment, the war, the rebellion, the entire galaxy seemed distant and unimportant. When they separated, reality crashed back with urgent proximity. Tarek activated his communicator. "We need extraction," he said, "and we need it now." Their escape from Nova Haven was chaotic, a desperate sprint through service tunnels, a commandeered maintenance vessel, and a firefight that left 2 Nixari ships disabled in their wake. As they jumped to hyperspace, coordinates set for the rebellion's hidden base, Raya found herself watching Tarek as he piloted, wondering exactly when her suspicion had transformed into something far more dangerous. The coming war would leave no heart untouched, especially those foolish enough to open during battle. Hearts of Fire Commander Elena Dravik's hologram flickered as she delivered the news, her expression grim even through the distortion. "The assault on Proxima Station begins in 48 hours. All operatives are being recalled. Raya and Tarek exchanged glances across the small cabin of their transport vessel. The Solari ambassador had provided them with this ship, faster and better armed than anything the human rebellion possessed. But diplomatic support had stopped short of military commitment. "We'll be there," Raya confirmed. Ending the transmission, she rubbed her temples where a familiar pressure had been building all day. These headaches had plagued her since their escape from Nova Haven 3 weeks ago. "You need rest," Tarek observed, moving to sit beside her. "The headaches are getting worse," she offered a weak smile. "Just stress." "It's more than that." His voice held certainty. "I've seen this before, in the research facilities where they kept psychically gifted humans." Raya stiffened. "I'm not psychic. The Nixari harvest humans with latent abilities," he explained gently. "That's what the whole occupation is about. Not colonization, not resources. They're farming psychic potential from our species." "That's absurd," she protested. But even as she spoke, the cabin lights flickered in response to her agitation. Tarek took her hands in his. "My sister Layla manifested abilities at 19. That's why they took her. They sensed her awakening gift. Understanding dawned painfully. That's why you turned against them. Not just to save her, but to stop the harvesting." He nodded, his thumbs tracing circles on her palms. "The Nixari use human psychics to power their most advanced technology. Their ships, their weapons, all fueled by captive human minds." The revelation was horrifying, yet it explained so much about the seemingly irrational patterns of Nixari abductions over the years. Not random terror tactics, but calculated harvesting. "I think you're manifesting now," Tarek continued. "The stress of combat, the constant danger, it's triggering your abilities." As if confirming his theory, the metal cup on the table beside them crumpled inward without being touched. Raya jerked back in shock. "I can't control it," she whispered. "You can learn," he assured her. "And quickly we must. If the Nixari detect your awakening, they'll prioritize your capture above all else." The following day, as their ship raced toward Proxima Station, Tarek guided Raya through basic exercises to channel her emerging abilities. Hours of meditation and focus yielded small victories, moving objects intentionally, sensing emotions beyond normal perception. During a brief rest period, Raya found Tarek studying star charts, plotting a course deviation. "This isn't the way to Proxima," she noted. He hesitated before responding. "I've identified the facility where they're holding Layla. It's on Deimos base, in the Martian orbit. You want to rescue her before the assault?" It wasn't a question. "If we succeed at Proxima, the Nixari will liquidate their research subjects rather than risk capture," Tarek said, his voice tight with emotion. "This may be my only chance to save her." Raya studied him, the man who had risked everything to fight alongside her, whose touch now sent currents of electricity through her body, whose pain she could literally feel through her emerging abilities. "We'll go together," she decided. "But we need to inform command." Elena was predictably furious when they explained their plan. "You're our best intelligence operatives, and you want to abandon the primary mission for a personal rescue?" "It's more than personal," Raya argued. "If we can free the psychics at Deimos, we gain powerful allies and deprive the Nixari of a crucial resource." The commander eventually relented, but her parting words were ominous. "You have 18 hours. After that, you're on your own." The approach to Deimos base required precision that bordered on suicidal. Using Tarek's security codes and Raya's burgeoning abilities to cloud monitoring systems, they managed to dock in a maintenance bay. "Detention level is 3 sections down," Tarek whispered as they crept through dimly lit corridors. They encountered minimal resistance until reaching the research wing. There, 4 Nixari guards blocked their path. Raya reached out with her mind, visualizing the neural pathways she wanted to disrupt. 2 guards collapsed immediately. The others raised weapons. Tarek moved with practiced efficiency, his combat training evident as he dispatched one guard while Raya telekinetically slammed the other into a wall. The violence left her shaking, unused to the raw power flowing through her. "You're a natural," Tarek murmured, his expression a mixture of awe and concern. In the central laboratory, they found rows of transparent cells, each containing a human subject connected to horrific machinery. Tarek scanned desperately for his sister while Raya worked to override the security systems. "Layla!" His anguished cry drew Raya's attention to a pale young woman whose features mirrored Tarek's own. As facility alarms began to wail, Raya made a decision. Using her full power, heedless of the consequences, she simultaneously deactivated all cell barriers. Dozens of captives stumbled forward, disoriented but free. "We need to move," she urged, even as Tarek embraced his weakened sister. "Proxima Station is waiting." As they led the freed psychics toward their ship, Raya's connection to Tarek had never felt stronger, nor had the coming battle ever seemed more personal. Shattered chains, the Nixari biological weapon made no sound as it dispersed through Earth's remaining free colonies. The first victims simply stopped breathing, their lungs crystallizing from within. Within hours, millions were dead or dying. On the Rebellion command ship Defiance, the mood was apocalyptic. The victory at Proxima Station, so recently celebrated, now felt hollow. "This changes everything," Elena Dravich said, her face ashen as she addressed the assembled leadership. "We've intercepted Nixari communications. They call it the Purifier. It targets human-specific genetic markers." Raya stood with the other rescued psychics, including Tarek's sister Layla. In the weeks since their escape from Deimos base, the former captives had become integral to the rebellion's efforts, their abilities enhancing everything from communications to weapon systems. "Can we develop a countermeasure?" Tarek asked, his hand finding Raya's almost unconsciously. "Not without understanding the pathogen's composition," Elena replied. "We need a sample from the source." Silence filled the room as the implication became clear. Someone would need to infiltrate the heart of Nixari territory, their bioweapons facility on Ceres. "I'll go," Raya said without hesitation. Tarek's grip on her hand tightened. "Not alone." Later, in their shared quarters, the argument continued. "Your sister needs you," Raya insisted. "The rebellion needs your strategic knowledge." "And I need you," Tarek replied, the raw emotion in his voice stopping her protests. "Do you understand? I've lost everything to this war except you." He pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. "We go together or not at all." Their kiss deepened with newfound desperation. Hands sought skin, barriers between them falling away as clothing was discarded. In the shadow of humanity's darkest hour, they found solace in one another. Every touch a defiance against extinction. Afterward, lying together in the dim light, Raya traced the contours of Tarek's face. "I never expected this," she admitted. "When we met, I was certain you'd betray us." He smiled sadly. "I've betrayed everyone at some point, the Nixari, earlier resistance cells. But never you, never us." Their mission to Ceres launched the following day, aboard a captured Nixari scout ship. Using Tarek's knowledge and Raya's enhanced abilities, they successfully penetrated the facility's outer defenses. "Something feels wrong," Raya whispered as they moved through eerily vacant corridors. "Where are the guards?" The bioweapons lab stood unprotected, its entrance ominously open. Inside, they found what they sought, containment units holding the lethal pathogen. But as Tarek worked to secure samples, Raya's psychic senses flared with warning. "We're not alone," she hissed, spinning to face a single figure emerging from the shadows. It wasn't Nixari, but something else entirely. A towering entity of crystalline structure, its form shifting between solid and energy. "Humans with purpose," it said, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "Fascinating." Tarek raised his weapon, but Raya stopped him. "What are you?" "I am an emissary of the architects," the being replied. "The true masters of this galaxy." Understanding crashed through Raya's consciousness. "You control the Nixari. They serve, as all species eventually will." The being moved closer. "Your kind possesses unique mental architecture, useful once properly harnessed." Revulsion swept through her. "You're using the Nixari to harvest human psychics for your own purposes." "The Purifier was a miscalculation," the emissary continued dispassionately. "Too many potential assets destroyed. We have recalled our Nixari servants for reprogramming." Tarek carefully secured the pathogen samples while Raya kept the emissary distracted. Her mind raced with implications. The Nixari weren't the true enemy, merely tools of a higher intelligence. "Your resistance is impressive but ultimately futile," the being stated. "The architects have guided civilizations for millions of years." Raya felt something unprecedented. a mental connection forming between herself and the entity. Through it, she glimpsed the truth. The architects were a collective consciousness spanning multiple dimensions, using organic species as proxies across the galaxy. With sudden clarity, she understood their weakness. "Tarek, we need to go," she said urgently. "Now." As they fled the facility, Raya shared her discovery. The architects exist primarily in another dimensional plane. They project their consciousness through specialized relay stations. "How does that help us?" Tarek asked as they raced toward their ship. "Destroy the relays and we sever their connection to our reality," she explained. "Without guidance, the Nixari will be directionless." Aboard the Defiance once more, their intelligence sparked a dangerous hope. The pathogen samples provided the key to a countermeasure, while Raya's encounter revealed the true nature of their enemy. As rebellion scientists worked feverishly to synthesize a cure, Raya gathered the rescued psychics. "We've been fighting the puppet, not the puppet master," she told them. "But now we know how to cut the strings." That night, as plans formed for a final desperate assault, Raya and Tarek held each other close. "Do you think we can win?" she whispered into the darkness. His answer was soft but certain. "With you, I believe we can do anything." Dawn of Freedom. The final battle unfolded across multiple fronts. While Earth's combined fleet engaged Nixari forces near Saturn's rings, a smaller strike team approached the primary architect relay, a massive structure hidden within Titan's methane seas. Raya stood on the bridge of the assault vessel Harbinger. 12 liberated psychics arrayed behind her. Through their combined abilities, they maintained a psychic cloak that rendered their approach invisible to Nixari sensors. "Entering Titan's atmosphere," announced the pilot. "Thermal shielding at maximum." Beside her, Tarek reviewed tactical displays. The rebellion had committed everything to this assault. Earth forces, Solarii battlecruisers, and even representatives from 3 other species who had suffered under Nixari control. "Elena's fleet has engaged the orbital defenses," he reported. "We have our window." Raya nodded, the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. The rescue of the psychics from Deimos had sparked something unexpected, a network of connected minds that grew stronger with each passing day. They called it the Nexus, a human counterpoint to the Architects Collective. The Harbinger descended through Titan's thick atmosphere, landing on a rocky outcropping surrounded by liquid methane. Before them loomed their target, a crystalline spire jutting from the sea, pulsing with otherworldly energy. "That's it," Raya confirmed, sensing the dimensional disruptions emanating from the structure. "The relay point between our reality and theirs." Tarek organized the strike team with practiced efficiency. Team 1 will secure the perimeter. Team 2 places the charges. Psychic squad with Raya to neutralize any architect manifestations. The assault began in eerie silence, the methane sea dampening sound as they approached the spire in specialized environmental suits. Nixari defenders emerged from underwater hangars, their movements sluggish in the dense liquid. "They're not expecting us," Tarek observed as they dispatched the first patrol. "The psychic camouflage is working." Reaching the base of the spire, they encountered the facility's true defenses, not physical barriers but psychic ones. Waves of disorientation and terror washed over the team. "Architect countermeasures," Raya warned, establishing a mental shield through the Nexus. "They know we're here." Inside the facility, the architecture defied human understanding. Corridors that seemed to fold into themselves, chambers that existed partially in other dimensions. At the core, they found what they sought, a pulsing crystalline matrix that served as the architect's anchor to the physical world. "Set the charges," Tarek ordered as his team secured the room. Before they could act, reality itself seemed to warp. 3 architect emissaries materialized, towering crystalline beings like the one from Ceres, but larger, more imposing. "Your species continues to surprise us," one communicated directly into their minds. "Perhaps we miscalculated your potential." Raya stepped forward, channeling the combined strength of the Nexus. "You've harvested psychics across the galaxy for millennia. That ends today." "You cannot comprehend what you oppose," the emissary responded. "We guide evolution. We prevent chaos. You enslave worlds," Tarek countered. "You're not guides. You're parasites." The architects struck with devastating psychic force, sending several team members collapsing to the ground, blood trickling from their noses. Raya felt the attack like physical blows against her consciousness. Drawing on everything she had learned, Raya established a mental link with every psychic in the Nexus, those present and those fighting across the solar system. Their collective consciousness formed a shield, then a weapon. "You take without consent," Raya projected, her physical voice synchronized with her mental assault. "You never asked humanity if we wanted your guidance." The architects recoiled as the combined psychic force pushed against them. For the first time, uncertainty rippled through their crystalline forms. "The charges are set," Tarek announced, blood streaming from his ears but determination unbroken. 2-minute countdown. "You will destroy yourselves without our guidance," the lead architect warned as the team began retreating. Raya smiled grimly. "We'll take that chance." As they fled toward the extraction point, the facility began to destabilize. Dimensional rifts tore through corridors, reality itself fragmenting around them. 2 team members were lost to sudden spatial shifts before they reached the Harbinger. 30 seconds, Tarek shouted as the last of them stumbled aboard. The ship lifted off, accelerating through Titan's atmosphere as the relay station imploded behind them. The blast was less physical than dimensional, a catastrophic collapse of the connection between realms. Across the solar system, Nixari forces suddenly faltered. Their ships drifted, weapons went silent, coordinated attacks dissolved into confusion. "It's working," Elena's voice crackled through the communication system. "The Nixari fleet is disorganized. They're retreating." As the Harbinger rejoined the main fleet, Raya monitored the Nexus, feeling the collective relief and triumph of connected minds across the system. The architect's presence had been severed, their control broken. 3 days later, in the newly established council chamber on Mars, representatives from Earth and its allies gathered to formalize the terms of a new interstellar alliance. The Nixari, now free from architect control, had sued for peace, offering reparations and technology exchange. They were victims too in their way, Raya explained to the assembled delegates. Controlled for so long they forgot their own history. After the formal proceedings, she found Tarek on an observation deck, watching the Martian sunset. He turned as she approached, his face bearing new scars but his eyes warmer than she'd ever seen them. "So," he said, taking her hands in his, "what does a double agent do when the war ends?" She smiled, leaning into him. "The same thing a resistance fighter does, I suppose. We build something new." As they embraced against the backdrop of a freed Mars, Raya sensed the Nexus humming with possibilities. Humanity had not only survived but evolved, connected, stronger, ready to determine its own destiny among the stars. The rebellion had ended. The real journey was just beginning.